Aloha everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We'll give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greatest successes, amazing behind the scenes and much more. This episode is brought to you by Yogi Pipe, a line of apparel created with eco-friendly materials by artisans from all over the world. Let's discover more about them and their collection on www.yogipipe.surf. Hello everyone and welcome to the 8th episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with me is the legendary surf photographer Tim McKenna. Let's discover more about him, his future projects and much more. Hi Tim and welcome to the show. Where are you today?
Hi Alessandro, I'm in Paia, which is a village in Tahiti on the island of Tahiti in French Polynesia, South Pacific.
Thank you for being on the show with us today. How is it going over there? Was the coronavirus present? Did you guys had like a lockdown?
Yes, we had a 2-month lockdown, but there was very few cases, maybe 20 cases at one time, I think early May. So they locked down all the flights and, impossible to come in or out of Tahiti. And 3 weeks later, we had no more cases. And so we had 1 month without any case. And now we're in the second month without any case. And we're just reopening the flights this week.
Amazing.
So we might have new cases that come in, but we got to open up for tourism and for freight and stuff.
It's amazing. I guess I spoke with all over the world, from US to Australia and Europe, everywhere. It was a lockdown, but nice. It's good. It's good to be in place like that with very few episodes, and then life can go on like before, easily. Today, we're not going to talk about coronavirus. That's it. I just wanted to clear one of my curiosity. We're going to talk about surf photography, and your future projects. But the first question that I have for you is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
Interesting question. The most important thing in surfing is just sharing a moment with nature. I think just being at one with the ocean and just relaxing in nature.
Yeah, it's so powerful at the same time, so intimate, right? Because when you're
it's so simple, such a easy, free, simple concept, but so healing and so perfect and such a beautiful moment, and that makes people. Changes people's lives all over the world. Surfing and the love of ocean, see what people are willing to do to have that lifestyle. It's incredible.
I'm seeing you taking a lot of fantastic picture of people surfing. But what about you and surfing? Do you surf from time to time?
So yes, I started surfing when I started late. I started probably around 13, 14. But I've been surfing all my life, and that's the passion of surfing that got me into the passion of photography and gave me my career, I guess. But since I've been living in Tahiti, probably I surf a little less because the waves. You need to have a good level here. If you want to surf the reef breaks. So more and more I surf more the beach breaks and not so much the reef breaks, but still it's I got to give myself more time to go into the ocean. I spend a lot of time in the ocean taking pictures, but some free time for surfing would be good too.
Yeah, exactly. Which surfboard are you currently surfing?
So I have for small waves I have a fish. It's like a 5'7" stretch board fish. This morning I surfed a regular thruster. It's 6'1", and I have a few. Those are my two main boards. I have a bunch of other boards, long boards and big boards for the family or friends, and sometimes I'll take a twin fin or something like that. But usually I surf like six tooth thrusters or quattro, nice and wide.
Okay. Let's talk about now surf photography and your career as a surf photographer. I have two questions in one. First is like the first surf photography picture that you ever taken, if you remember that, and then the defining moment of your career, the one that that made, let's say, a completely change, in what could have been a passion, something that you like to do, into something that made you.
Well, my first ever picture, surf picture, was where I learned to surf. My mom lent. I borrowed my mom's camera and took some pictures of the first ever surfing contest, professional surfing contest in France. At the time, I lived in France at Lacanau, and so I was young and I saw the pro surfers come for one of the first times to France, and I took some amateur photos, and that kind of got me into the passion of surf photography. And then later on, when I was studying in Australia, I had decided I was going to become a photographer and a surf photographer, and I invested in the big lens, and I was lucky to have one night. I went out on the beach. There was a big swell, and I captured the wave, the Kira wave. It's a famous wave in Australia that that was pitching with the sunset glowing through the wave. So, and that made a big poster in one of Australia's biggest magazines, and that kind of confirmed for me the fact that I should continue and try and be a photographer. But then defining moment is probably in 2000 when I photographed Laird Hamilton in Tahiti at Chopo, and he rode what people called since the Millennium Wave. Mm-hmm. And it was at the time, the most craziest ride ever by a big wave surfer. It was it kind of broke a lot of boundaries. It was the advent of tow surfing, and it changed also the way people measured big wave surfing. Before, it was just the size of the wave, and with this image, with that ride of Laird Hamilton, it was more the tube, the gnarliest, the wave itself, and how dangerous it was and how perfect it was. Because Chopo's not so big; it's just big, thick, and wide, and a perfect barrel.
Yeah, and dangerous, right?
And very dangerous, but thankfully he survived, and he made a lot of covers and went on TV, and it became a world famous photo. He became a world famous surfer, and that was a nice little push for my career for sure.
Being at the right place at the right time with the right camera, and it worked,
Yes, but in this case, what was gratifying is that I created the right place and nearly the right time. It was a 1 month trip with many riders, and it was a lot of work. We had to get financing to buy a jet ski here, and we were shooting every day. And the end of the trip culminated into this the Millennium Wave, that big wave, and all came out of it. So it was pretty gratifying to show that hard work paid off.
Yeah, very rewarding, right?
Yes.
He made all the investments that you have done and the time, and but it's like that, to wait.
Yes, and you kind of get recognition from your peers, because obviously a lot of photographers see the cover, see the images, and when you see them later on, they say congratulations or stuff like that. So it is a nice feeling.
We started our interview saying what is the most important thing in surfing, but what is the most important thing in surf photography, in your opinion?
Most important thing in surf photography is patience and just being a good surfer. Basically it's kind of the same. You need experience in the ocean, experience in the waves, in the currents, to understand how to capture it the best way possible. Even if it's not swimming in the waves, but obviously when you're doing water shots, you need to be, skillful just like a surfer, because you need to assess all the conditions just like a surfer, how to position yourself, how to dive under the wave and stuff like that. But also the rest of the time, even shooting from the beach, from a boat, from anywhere, you kind of need to be a surfer in the sense that you need to know when the swells are here, the tide, what the tides are doing, what the winds are doing, what the weather is going to create on the waves. You got to be in connection with the nature again, to capture it best, I guess.
Yeah. I guess, as you say, is like not just a good or great use of the camera itself, of the equipment, but if you know how to use the camera and then you put yourself in danger because of current, or because you go underwater, or maybe you go with like a big lens and there is no swell, that doesn't work, right?
Yeah, it's definitely, you learn after years of experience that, in certain conditions, it's better to use this type of lens. In other conditions, so that's why I usually work with a lot of equipment, or at least I have it available, because I really like to have what I think is the best for for the day I'm shooting. Some days it might be better for water shots, some days it might be better to shoot from the boat, others you just want lineups. So yeah, I tend to like to have quite a bit of gear. So I'm ready at any moment to get the good picture.
What's your favorite lens to use in surf photography?
Well, I mean, for sure, being in Tahiti has changed my life, because before it was, when you lived in Europe or even in most of the countries and you're shooting from the shore, your favorite lens is 800 millimeter, 800 5.6 or 604. But we rarely use those lenses here in French Polynesia, because we're either on a boat, and there I'd say my favorite lens is a 200 millimeter f2, because you're kind of close to the wave, and the waves the surfers are getting barreled really close to you. And if not in the water, my favorite lens is a 58 millimeter by Nikkor, and I also like the fisheye, or the 14 millimeter wide angle lens for everything underwater. I really like underwater pictures. And, you just need that extra wideness to get light and clearing, so you got to get close to the action.
And you're using Nikon, right? You just said.
Yes, I use mostly Nikon for my photography. I film also. There I use Nikon. I use Panasonic cameras also. But yeah, most of my gear is Nikon gear.
Okay. It's interesting, because so far all the surf photographers that I interviewed, they use Nikon. And
really?
yeah, all of them. And in concert photography, a lot of people use Nikon because the image is sharper with Nikon, but the vast majority use Canon, and but so far I never had a Canon answer. Everybody said Nikon, so maybe there is some...
I started my career at Nikon, and then for a while Canon became much better with autofocus, and it was the time where we would shoot a lot with long lenses, and it was very important. It was a real advantage to have autofocus with the 800 millimeter lenses. I switched back to Nikon after a while because everybody was going to Canon and the service was getting bad. And in the end, I think, the Nikon equipment is a little bit more expensive, but a bit more quality and more sturdy for tough conditions living on the ocean. Yeah.
The thing for a photographer is that once you have certain lenses, an expensive one, going from one brand to another is not that easy, right? you made
No, when you start with one brand, you try and you stick with that one because
made too much
it's too
investment.
hard. Yeah,
Not to lose these
yeah. I
investments.
mean, now the big telephoto lenses, they cost nearly $10,000 or more. It's like, for sure, it's crazy.
Exactly, but it's the dream of all of us, the big telephoto, like 400 2.8, something like that, 600 2.8. It's $10,000, as you said. We were talking before about taking picture, of course, in the sea, from the sea, and of course you have like you said, like the surfer, you need to be aware of the condition and the waves and how they close on you, and I guess a lot of adrenaline, but also fear. How do you deal between adrenaline and fear in those circumstances?
Oh well, I just try and obviously make sure I'm often more scared about my equipment than myself. It's a bit stupid because I should be scared more about me. But you know that with experience, where to push yourself and when not to push it, and just so you're perfectly positioned. Don't take any risks. This is you stay very humble with the ocean, especially in Tahiti. There's always a big wave, bigger, twice the size, that can break during the day, and you never know when that can happen. So you just got to keep that in mind permanently, because you might be positioned for a certain size, but if this big wave arrives, then you're you're not in a good position, and you might not be able to dive under the wave. So you always got to keep that in mind and make decisions like that. But try not to think too much about it. If not, you don't have fun. And when I'm in the water shooting a surfer in the tube, I'm having nearly as much fun as the guy in the tube. That's why I like to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, for that reason I was saying about adrenaline, right? Because actually it's not adrenaline negative; it's adrenaline fun, right?
Yeah.
It's challenging yourself, and then as good. It's very important that only professional people do that, right? It's not like people try, especially in Tahiti, I guess. Don't try this in the water, like it's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, there's some ways where you can try, and at worst, you just get washed to the beach or to the sand. But here, when you try in certain waves, it can be tragic for your equipment and for yourself.
Exactly. Who are or where, if there has been a change, your reference in photography or in surf photography?
Well, my favorite photographers all around are like people like Hans Furrer, who's a fashion photographer. David Duboulet is a famous National Geographic ocean photographer. Ernst Haas, like my favorite landscape photographer. Then surf-wise, I really like surf photographers, but they could do not just surf photography. Like people like Art Brewer that do some great studio works and great portraits. They can do commercial work, can do surfing shots, or others like Ted Grambo, who's can do really good, water shot, surfing water shot, but also shoot some fashion, some lifestyle. So it's guys like that that I look up to.
How do you see the sustainability of surf photography? If I make a comparison, for instance, like music photography today doesn't make you any money, right? Every single photographer has to do something else in order to sustain it. Either you do it for passion or you do it professional. There are very few that are like the big ones, but they just don't make money because the magazine industry is disappearing. Everything is online, so so. How does it work with surf photography? It's possible for a young surf photographer to do a career today, or everything changed? How do you see?
That's a very good question. Honestly, I wouldn't know. because the industry has changed so much, and I think it's possible in certain niches. It might be possible to live off the regular surf industry, like the surf brands, the magazines, 5, 10 guys, the top guys of the moment, and then maybe some manage because they do prints on the side. They shoot waves or they do weddings, but photographers that do 100% surf, I don't think it's possible to have a career, nowadays. I mean, things are changing quite a bit, but to do just surf photography for the next 40 years, I don't think it's even happened, and I don't think it's going to happen. It's like, especially when you see what's happening to the professional surf scene in the last couple of years, it doesn't look like they're finding a proper way to market surf. The magazines are all disappearing. The websites is the future. There's a future kind of more maybe into filming, doing a YouTube channel or doing filming or taking pictures, probably even pictures of tourists. That probably makes more daily money than anything else. But to be honest, I really don't know how the young generation or even the older generation managed to survive just on surf photography. That's why myself, right from the start, I pushed myself. That was my passion, but I pushed myself not to only do surf photography. Because I knew there was no way I could have a full career doing that. It would be too hard. So I made sure right from the start I did a lot of fashion, a lot of commercial work, a lot of stock photos, and just generally, even when I started surfing, I did other sports. It was actually most action sports: snowboarding, skiing, motocross, kite, windsurf. I was more of an action sports photographer than just a surf photographer. I used to do a lot of snowboarding photos too. So I made sure I kept quite a few. It's hard to do that because you need more equipment, and to be good in various fields just means more work, and it's actually hard to sustain that. But that's probably what I'm the most proud of, to be able to sustain such a wide variety of photography over the years.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, the one you're saying, because a lot of people prefer to be radical in a certain sense. Like, I am a surf photographer, I don't do wedding. I am a surf photographer, I don't do video. I'm just a photographer, I don't do video. Or I'm a music photographer and I don't do a fashion show, right? Or other things. And I think it's part of us, right? It's part of each one of us, and say like, okay, I'm sticking to what I decided I'm gonna be, right? But the world actually is not.
It's getting harder,
right?
It's definitely getting harder to do that for sure. Especially now, you need people to be able to do everything. And that's how the market is going. So. In one sense, if you want to be the best at one thing, you got to stick to only that and try and be the best at that. But on the other side, things are pushing you to do so many things that you sometimes you don't stay concentrated. So it's it's hard to find the right balance.
Yeah. Maybe trying to have your style in the way you take a picture, no matter if it's like surf or fashion or anything else, and people can somehow relate to your style. I know it's difficult, but
I mean, for sure, if you know what you want to, it's the style now is probably. Problem is the style has gone into post-production.
Yeah, exactly.
The style of a photographer today is no longer his photography, or it's more the post-production of his photography. So that's a little bit that's changed for sure from the first years I started, where it was more the way you took pictures that come out. It's part of there's so many tools today to make things different and to help you do photography. but on the other hand, it helps other people to do it also. So it's just broad photography to the mass. So it's great because you see a lot of talent that come out of nowhere, but it's harder for the professionals because it just makes it harder to. There's so much content out there that it makes it harder for you to stick out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Even if I think like if you have a good sense of light and composition, if you have like a very artistic view, then maybe your photos, your picture will stand out automatically. But
yeah, and the artistic side is something that could be pursued also. There's probably maybe more opportunities there than on the commercial side also, but it takes a long time and a lot of work also, the artistic side, to do prints, galleries, and it's different venues,
a different job, right?
Yeah.
Looking back at your career, you would have changed something? You would have done something differently, or you are happy of what you have done, and that's it. Whatever it came.
No, I'm pretty happy like that. Yeah, I know I was interested in filming also very young, and I'm kind of glad that I stuck to just photography for so long, because now I'm doing so much of it now, filming also. So I thought it might have been a distraction because now it is complicated. Often I find myself, today should I take stills or should I film? It's like before I just knew, no, photography, no way, I'll film. But now the cameras can do both and pretty good. So it's a temptation. So it's I just now I know actually my days I feel they fill up better because I know I can do both. And sometimes when you think a photo wouldn't be worth it, well, the video could, and it's cool. I like switching between both. It's different approaches to and a different way to tell stories. So it's great.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also a challenge for you, right? Because
yes, definitely. Yeah, it is. It's a different set. But as I said, I was so used to change from the mountain to the beach to the water to change from photo to video is not that hard. You still need great composition, good light, good subject. You need all the basic elements.
What are your future projects?
My official projects right now, I have a little short film I want to film underwater with a famous freediver. That should be later on this year. We got a few documentary projects filmed around the world, but with some parts in Tahiti. I have a book project also. Been trying to bring out a second book on Chopu, the wave of Tahiti, because the last one I brought out was nearly 10 years ago and it's been sold out for quite a while. So I'm slowly working on that, and but I'm giving myself a little bit more time because the Olympic Games are in 2024 in Tahiti, Chopu, for surfing. The French Olympic Games happen here, so it'll be a good time to bring out a book.
Yeah,
the first Olympic wave.
Definitely, 2024, amazing, huh? Or in the I need to tell my wife I'm gonna 2024. I'm gonna take 2 weeks off.
It's crazy to think. Yeah, well, like I first time I went to that wave was in '96. And to think back then that it would be an Olympic wave in 2024, it's crazy. Just like I used to go to Sochi to do snowboard photos before. It was a small village. There was pigs in the street, and there was not even a ski resort. We would take the helicopter to do snowboard heli skiing, and 6-8 years ago, there was Olympic Games with hotels and this proper ski resort in a place where I went to. I think it was in started to go in '94. There was nothing. It was crazy to see how the world changes.
So let's hope they will bring like a good moment in 2024, but they will not come and destroy the nature of Tahiti, right? They just like
no, the locals wouldn't let it, and I think hopefully the Olympic Games are changing the way they approach things. I think they're going more into more sustainable, structures and not building crazy things that people use only 1 year and then they take you half a century to pay back.
Yes, exactly. Doesn't work really like that, right? It shouldn't work really like that. We're going to finish our interview with a short Q&A session. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind. Okay?
Okay, yep.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden?
I was Pacific Dreams. It was a board made by Matt Hoy's father, Shaper.
Your favorite photo, but not yours?
Okay, my favorite photo, I think, is probably the Earth rising from the moon, shot by the NASA in 1968 or 69. It was a picture taken from the moon, and you see the planet Earth. It's a great shot.
I guess that shot you don't have competitors, right? If you take it,
that one, it's not it's not like an Instagram shot you post and everybody copies it over the next 2 months. That one will be pretty hard to copy.
Yeah, exactly. Or expensive. If you go
maybe Elon Musk or Richard Branson, those guys could do it, but
exactly. But it takes some time. Personal question: your favorite song or favorite artist?
I love jazz. I just like jazz music. I don't really have a favorite song or artist. I just like that type of music. Anything modern, yeah.
Your favorite surf spot? Okay,
to surf personally, probably be Snapper Rocks, Rainbow Bay. On the Gold Coast, if it wasn't so crowded. When I was studying at Houston University back in the day, I would have some pretty uncrowded sessions, and I still have those in my mind. So for me, Snapper Rocks, Kira, and if not for shooting, obviously Taupo. Taking pictures you can't beat.
Your favorite surfer today?
I think Kai Lenny is pretty incredible. Yeah. Just because of all the stuff he can do. He's an amazing athlete, and to be able to be good at all those disciplines is pretty amazing. But then obviously, we're lucky to have a genius in the name of Kelly Slater, and he is incredible. Surfer and has been for the last 20, 30, 40 years. So,
consistency and longevity are of course for Kelly Slater are essential. The last question has nothing to do with surf, has nothing to do with surf photography, but we ask everybody. So we want to know your best relationship advice.
Hey, to listen.
Yeah. More than to speak, right?
Listen more to speak, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
To accept, yeah. Yeah.
It always works. Thanks a lot, Tim, for your time, and I look forward to talk to you very soon.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Ciao.
Long live the Temple of Surf. Ciao.
Good evening. Bye. Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!